Aloha mai kako. You are watching Hawaii Political Reporter.
Aloha, and thank you for watching Hawaii Political Reporter. We greatly appreciate it. Tonight, we explore excessive force and gun control hypocrisy of the government as they kill unarmed U.S. citizens. Then we have a look at the U.S. debt and the destruction of the economy. Next, we provide information about ours and others' opinions on the government shutdown and debt ceiling debacle. Then we cover the abuse and manipulation of the average citizen by the political parties. Next, we look at how money is being spent during the shutdown and what is actually being cut. Finally, we take a look at public opinion and the emergence of viable independent political parties. First, we begin with a bit of news about the show and upcoming show plans. If you're a regular viewer of this program, you've probably noticed that during the last few months we've been pretty much putting on non-local material and, so to speak, canned. It's been good material, and we believe it's very worthwhile. We've been hyper busy. I'm sorry. It's just been killing me, actually. And as I know a lot of you just trying to struggle to, make the bills meet and to pay the taxes they keep dropping on us, including locally. Thank you very much for raising the property prices on us, property taxes. But we will be doing more, especially interviews. I'm going to be hooking up, and we'll be doing more phone interviews. And we have actually some good local programming already in the can, so to speak. I just have to edit it up. And we plan to keep serving and listening and, doing what we can to help all of us around here and all of us in general to do better and to find the truth of our government and hopefully move forward with better government, or really better lives with less government, hopefully, and what government we have smarter and better. So anyway, let's start off with a bit of local news here. And speaking of better government, I have to believe, and I think if you would be fair-minded, and this is the GMO issue, which is a huge one in a lot of places, especially on this island. I personally am in favor of most of the GMO ban and anti-GMO stuff going on. Not a matter of science. I wouldn't debate that. I have studied it, and I have written some articles you may have seen on the Hawaii Free Press if you've looked. But the main issue for me is just a matter of a large corporate oligarchy and a very aggressive, I would say, essentially evil corporation, Monsanto, what they've been doing. And most importantly, whether you like it or not, and I think this is where hopefully, even the quote-unquote conservatives and others against the ban of the GMO would hopefully find this to be true, and it is true. And that is that, local government and local, home rule is, I think, a very good idea. So congratulations to Blake and Kerry and all those who are moving this along. It seems like it's going to do well. We have to keep on. It's obviously a huge fight with a lot of money being put in, because there is a lot of money, a lot of people sucking down the money and on this, and basically putting out the independent farmer ultimately. And, the biosphere is in danger. So anyways, Occupy Hilo, and that's usually Kerry Marks and all the others who participate that. If you go to facebook.com/Occupy Hilo or look up Occupy Hilo, they have some more events, and she is one of the main people spearheading, along with Blake Watson, the GMO prohibition bill and such here. It's not a total prohibition if you're following it, but it's open field GMO prohibition, which I think is a very wise idea for in general here. And basically also they have on Monday, October 21st, 2013, from 7 to 9 p.m. at the Kea'au Community Center to discuss the current government shutdown. So again, Occupy Hilo, or you could look them up. I suggest you check them out. They're doing good work, and we highly support them, even though we don't agree with all they do, but we believe that's honest grassroots activism, and it's always worth listening. I myself have learned from them and have changed my mind on several things, and hopefully I'll get around and be able to change their mind on a couple of things. And I know there's one huge battle that I'll be having with them if I decide to get into it, but that's for me and them to deal with, I guess, as things go along. All right, so what we're going to get into now is, I think, truly horrible and horrific, and this is the killing of innocent people by our government. We hear about gun control a lot, and I got to tell you, I am against quote-unquote gun control for a lot of reasons, and this is a perfect example why. The gun control that we need to have in general is on our government, okay, and those who maliciously and ignorantly and carelessly take life needlessly. It is disgusting what has been happening recently. I take in point, this is Miriam Miriam Carey, 34. You may have recalled this a couple weeks ago. Some gal got out there. Maybe she was having some psychological problems. I'm sure a lot of stress, like a lot of us in this economy, children, etc. And let's face it, the government is certainly not making it easier. This is not a political statement. This is a fact of life. I mean, let's face it, and this is not Republican versus Democrat, because neither of them are delivering, okay, for us. And this woman was unarmed, okay, and, you know, sped out and didn't obey the masters of the universe exactly like they wanted. I hope you've seen this and checked it out.
My sister is a law-abiding citizen. My sister is a taxpayer. She is a homeowner. Oh, excuse me, she was a homeowner because my sister is no longer with us. And regardless of why she was in our nation's capital, as a citizen, she has that right.
A lot's been made of her.
I'm not finished. And as a citizen, she has that right. And my sister could have been any woman or any person traveling in our capital. Deadly physical force was not the ultimate recourse, and it didn't have to be. And you have to ask yourselves, as Americans, is it okay for that to happen? Because it can happen to you. And if we are okay with that, then I feel sorry for all of us.
Pulled out of her car and killed, we believe. I can't say that for a fact because we don't have the absolute footage, but it's pretty clear she was unarmed. And they didn't shoot her tires out. She was trying to run away. They didn't shoot her tires out or bring in any of their tanks or anything else to stop her. They just basically put her, you know, she ran, panicked, got caught in the wrong place, and basically they pulled her out and shot her. And this is left not only this young woman, who I believe is essentially innocent of any serious wrongdoing here. You know, maybe she didn't follow the protocol and what the Nazi Gestapo police in D.C. wanted, okay, but, you know, it's just excessive, incredibly excessive and horrible. And she left a baby. They killed her, and, you know, a little one-year-old baby was pulled out and is now motherless. So thank you very much. Now, I know most police, or certainly a lot of police, would have, you know, where's Andy Griffith, man? I mean, where's a little common freaking sense police work here? You know, an unarmed woman, okay? Was she going to hit anybody? Was she a harm? Not once the car is stopped, I think. The car had crashed. I don't know how you can justify shooting her, okay, when you have a whole bunch of people with AR-15s around. And yes, they should have gun control, the government. This is the exact reason why, and this is why people need to have guns, okay? And maybe if there was a lot of guys around there and they would say, hey, hold on, stop. You're going to shoot an unarmed person? No, thank you. Okay, let's go on to another one, which is another shooting case where here there was an aggressive attacker who probably did need to be put down. And what does the government do? Let him go. This is the Navy Yard shooting, and basically this is from BBC News in U.S. and Canada. And the Navy Yard SWAT team stood down at mass shooting scene. And basically this is on September 18th. You can look this up, BBC News. Headline, Navy Yard, SWAT team stood down at mass shooting scene. So basically the first responders were told to stand down. I believe there's a lot more going on with this story than we're being told. And there's some rumor that these people are going to be arresting Obama for treason. And of course this is a highly elite you know, military setting, and basically someone walks in and does them all in at the military. Great, okay, and this is again a case, you know, where the guns were needed and they weren't there, and they were actually there and they were told to scram or stand down. Okay, here's a wife of a man executed by FBI demands justice. This is InfoWars, September 13th, with Kurt Nimmo, and this is about the widow of Abraham Tadashev. Renee Tadashev told Alex Jones that the FBI and U.S. governments have stonewalled attempts to find out what happened to her husband on May 22nd of this year. Again, this was an unarmed man being interviewed, supposedly. This is related to the Boston bombing. And one, you know, this is very fishy. I believe it was one agent interviewing him one-on-one. Excuse me, if you got a terrorist suspect or something and you're going in there one-on-one and the guy ends up dead, I mean, this is looking more and more like a cover-up, or something's not right all along. So another probably innocent, or certainly not needing to be killed, unarmed person is killed, executed essentially. And then we're going to go into one last thing. Felony Friday, police dogs placed in class above privately owned pets. This is in the Daily Paul, and it's Friday, 7/26/13, actually. I mentioned this, as you may know, that recently several dogs have been killed by police that were not menaces, okay? And, you know, look, come on, I'm not on the police. They have a tough job, but, you know, this is a two-tier system is not good, and you can't go killing innocent people and innocent animals, or certainly ones that aren't really putting you in severe danger. It's not like it's an inconvenience. You got to have severe danger before, or I mean real severe danger to body and others, okay, before you go kill people. So that's my take on that, and we're going to be going to a short video of the sister of this lady, and then hopefully we'll give a moment of silence for the innocent killed here, or certainly for those who were wrongly, excessively done. Life is precious.
How the car chase started. As you can see, this car rammed into this barrier at 15th Street near the White House. About 5 to 6 police agents drew guns to get the person to stop and kind of get out of the car. Instead, the woman put the car into reverse, sped off, and the chase ensued. Now, at the end of the chase, it was reported that shots were fired, and numerous media outlets identified this person as a woman who was a shooter. Folks, the woman did not fire a shot. All the shots came from Capitol Police. Again, all the shots came from Capitol Police. They shot at her, she was killed, and the baby was taken. That's the story.
Money, 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 money. Debt. A river of money flows to D.C. This is according to the Weekly Standard, dated September 23rd. I'm going to just quickly hit this, and based on the median family value income in 2012, the wealthiest county in America by far is Arlington County, Virginia, located just across the Potomac River from D.C. In fact, blah, 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 it's 10,000 higher, and all the next 4 counties. And the next 4, richest, or top 4, are in the D.C. area, D.C. and the D.C. area. Okay, then we go into some coast from spot 5 and 6 down, but you know, even New York is down there. So, you know, what's happening here? Are they basically ripping us off, potentially, stealing our money? I mean, is government supposed to be service or to get wealthy? Because I think that's where all the wealth is obviously going, and I think they figured a way with the oligarchs to steal our money. And let's look at this. By the way, stealing our money, you know, the game is basically the people, or I should say the players, the people, the government, the oligarchs. So very large corporations, very large power players, and I mean extremely large. We're talking the 1/10 or 100% here. And what they do is they've teamed up with government to rob who? Us, the people. I'm sure most of us know this by now. But looking at the USDebtClock.org, and this was as of a few days ago, about a week ago, the debt per taxpayer in this country is $148,225. Per taxpayer, okay? Debt per family, $751,784. Interest per citizen in just 2013, $8,850. Now we have Hawaii adding on $17,000 to this figure, just the state alone, I think last time I looked. So now we're talking roughly $160+ per person, per taxpayer of debt. I'm sure we all have that. Hey, pocket change, let's just pay it quickly. Anyways, we have a total liability per taxpayer with all the unfunded liabilities of over $1,100,000, with the state included. This is $1.2 million. Now, come on. This is never going to be repaid. We've been stealing for decades from others. We've been trying to borrow from for decades for others. It's not working anymore. We're printing 93% of the money. The Fed is basically printing the money and giving it to the Treasury because they're not buying our debt. And let's go into a little bit more economics here. Debt ceiling raised 7 times under Obama, costing $43,000 per household. Thank you, Mr. Change. You've only made more of the same, okay? More of the same. And by the way, this has been going on for 50+ years. This is nothing new. War costs money. It's a plan. Eisenhower tried to warn us. He was the last one. There's an excellent series called The Ultimate Guide to the Presidents. He was the last one who tried to do anything really to rein us in. Reagan certainly didn't. I mean, there's some things to like about Reagan, some things to like about all of them, but most of them have been servants of the bankers and the military-industrial complex, which loves to put us in debt for their, benefit. Now, debt limit rises twice as, by the way, that was you can go to debtclock.org, I believe it is. That's well worth checking out, usdebtclock.org. Please check it out if you haven't. The debt limit rises twice as much as the economy in the last 2 years. This is, again, the Weekly Standard on October 9th. So the debt increase is $2.405 billion and a GDP increase of $1.199 billion. Good work on the way for a healthy, happy economy for all. Then we have a little thing, and this is on zerohedge.com. I sincerely suggest you look at that one also. The rich hold assets, the poor have debt. I wonder why that is, okay? The government's saddling us with more and more that they cannot do. Look at, man, this is nothing against the welfare system or whatever. It's not a political commentary. It is a fiscal commentary. It simply can't be done. There's not enough people making nearly enough money to carry this load. Something has got to give. They're trying to inflate away by printing the money, which will lower everyone's standard of living and make this worse, instead of addressing the core issues. That's just not happening, of course, because sweeping it under the rug is much easier, isn't it? Okay, rejoice. Now, this is coming from the telegraph.uk, dated October 9th. Rejoice. The Yellen Fed will print money forever to create jobs. Actually not creating jobs and making it worse. What they're desperately trying to do is keep a stimulus going. The patient, which is the U.S. economy, is on its death throes, and we didn't, instead of trying to maybe heal it, let's just keep it stimulated and, let's keep the lights on, man, instead of having a little break. And I don't mean death. This economy could be turned around. It can definitely be turned around with all its problems. I know how to do it. I'm sure others do. It's not that difficult, but it would take will and short-term pain. Deepcaster, preparing for the big one. Now, this is very, very, very important. Now we're all talking about the big story of the day. Oh, those people in Washington are coming to save us. They figured out how to make a deal on the debt and on the government shutdown. No, the big news of the day, okay, as another nation and another block of nations are sick and tired of our financial shenanigans and basically bully tactics, the euro, okay, the European Central Bank agrees with the People's Bank of China to establish bilateral euro-yuan currency swap arrangements, thus freezing the U.S. dollar out of yet another bilateral sovereign currency swap deal. Basically, if you don't know it, the only thing holding us up is that the U.S. currency has been the world's reserve. This is quickly ending for a lot of reasons. War machines, inability to be realistic with our fiscal situation. We can't dump on everybody forever. The Trans-Pacific Partnership is another one to try to lock in the U.S. hegemon and our imperial system, which it is, okay, by impoverishing others. And they're hard at work on that, Mr. Changes. Okay, so now we have, just for a moment, the solution, let's tax the rich. Okay, well, first off, the really wealthy, I mean, those who buy the laws off and stuff, they don't pay hardly anything. But, okay, the average person, hardworking doctor, hardworking entrepreneur, those people, the top 20%, and this is according to the National Taxpayers Union, you can go look this up, okay, the top 10% pay 70.47% of the taxes in this country, okay? The top 25% pay 87.30. In other words, the top 20 pay roughly 80%. Of course, not the corporations that are connected like GE and Google and others who screw us all, okay? Basically, this is a very unfair, and then the quote-unquote progressive tax system, really great. Yeah, really great. Let's pick those who work harder, try to serve more, literally almost give themselves heart attacks. They're naturally paying more as they work more. If they made $100,000 income, that'd be twice the tax at the same rate of a $50,000 income. But no, we've got to put it progressive. This is why a lot of people, including myself, will not work hard past a point. We don't want to get out to the brackets. This lowers productivity. It's very bad for the overall economy. This is a proven fact. Look at communist countries. When there's no incentive to work harder, and most people will not. Okay, it's just counterproductive. So Dutch sandwich grows as Google shifts $8.8 billion to Bermuda. Ha ha! More corporations avoiding tax because they have bought off and made laws to their benefit because they have the money to do it. And this is from the Financial Times, dated October 10th. Wall Street elites reason it's time for a de-Americanized world, China's news agency says. Basically, China is calling for the world to be de-Americanized. Let's listen to what they say. China's official news agency is calling for a de-Americanized world in a blistering editorial characterizing the United States as a meddling and hypocritical nation that introduces chaos into the world for its own means. That is the truth. It is the truth. It is the doctrine, especially since Teddy Roosevelt. Again, look at your Ultimate Guide to Presidents on DVD. Find out what it is. Do your research. This is horrible. And when the Chinese have the moral authority over your nation, you've got a problem. And they do have the moral authority in this case because they are producing, we are stealing and consuming. Okay? The Chinese aren't going and doing a 50th the meddling and the 50th the problems that we're creating. I don't believe. Okay? And that is in the International Business Times, and if you care to see that story, and also in Fox News, I'll have that also. And, of course, Reuters and the top world bankers are warning of dire consequences if the U.S. defaults. Yes, let's get more into debt. Yes, let's deny the situation. Yes, let's put those poor little people. Remember, every kid born right now is $55,000 in debt. $55,000. Every little babe. The future generation is being screwed by the older people and the lazy people in this country, and it's very wrong. It's very wrong. I mean, we are talking babies being born into servitude, essentially slavery.
Right now, a lot of attention is focused on the Obamacare standoff and the government shutdown. As usual, this debate has been framed as a left versus right issue. And the American people who just 1 month ago united in opposition to an impending attack on Syria have divided themselves down this artificial line and have resumed their bickering in earnest. That's not to say that there's nothing to bicker about. There are real reasons to be angry here. Nor is this an appeal for moderation or bipartisanship. A compromise between horse manure and cow manure. Still manure. This becomes much clearer once you put the furlough circus in its proper context. The Democrats and the Republicans are both trying to spin the narrative of this drama to make the other side look dishonest and irresponsible, while painting themselves as heroes trying to defend you, their beloved constituency. And some of you are falling for it. Come on. If Congress cared about you and your freedom, how is it that these same degenerate control freaks passed the NDAA of 2012 and 2013, granting the military the power to detain anyone, anywhere in the world and imprison them indefinitely without trial? Where was their righteous indignation then? And these laws are still on the books. Why didn't Congress defund the NDAA or the Patriot Act? Likewise, if Obama cares so much about your well-being, why did he sign those bills into law? He had the power to veto them, but he didn't. He's willing to play hardball, even to the point of a government shutdown, to protect his signature healthcare bill. But military detention without due process? Well, they didn't want to ruffle any feathers over something so trivial. And where were these valiant congressmen, these defenders of liberty, when it was time to take a stand against the NSA's domestic spying program? Did they filibuster then? I don't seem to remember hearing anything about that. Do you? There was no outrage, no talk of shutting down the government as Obama massively expanded the drone program, killing thousands of civilian non-combatants in countries that we're not even at war with. There was no talk of impeachment, even after it was revealed that Obama has his own private kill list, and then he claims the right to assassinate people on that list without trial, even American citizens on American soil, if he decides that they're a threat. No, of course not, because on those issues, the Democrats and the Republicans are in full agreement. Listen, let's not fool ourselves. What we're seeing right now is not a government shutdown. 800,000 workers were furloughed and a lot of public spaces were blocked off. But Congress didn't put their own paychecks on hold. Obama didn't get kicked out of his plush presidential palace. Now, we wouldn't want to treat our precious ruling class like that, now would we? It's the little guys that should pay the consequences. It's the workers who should feel the pain. These politicians don't care about you. This little political hissy fit we're watching unfold is a public relations stunt, designed to turn the left and the right against each other and to keep you from coming to terms with the fact that the United States government is out of control. The U.S. government needs to be shut down for real, not temporarily, not some federally mandated mass layoff, not some Tea Party 2.0. This is a police state that is engaged in wars of aggression all over the planet. It has made itself an enemy of the people in every sense of the word. Rather than arguing over how to rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic, it's time to come to terms with the fact that this ship is sinking. The United States government is a failed state. Trying to get justice through elections or petitions is like trying to remodel a termite-eaten, roach-infested crack house. Nothing is going to change until the corporations and the banking cartels that control the system are brought into account. And we've got no chance of bringing them into account unless we form a unified front. How do we form a unified front? Put aside the wedge issues, drop this petty left-right bickering, and focus on the three things that any sane person can agree on. That these wars of aggression and this war against the people has got to stop. And that any institution which supports or profits from these wars must be dismantled. That's the common ground. That's the unifying idea that will allow the political and ideological factions to join forces against our common enemy. It's time to use that unifying idea to build a network of resistance, a decentralized web of communication and cooperation that can bring these criminals to their knees. This is not just an abstract idea. You've already proven that it can be done. In September of 2013, the left and the right unified and stopped the attack on Syria. That was a huge victory. You altered the course of history there. But make no mistake, this is not over. The powers that be will regroup. They will try another angle. We've got to be ready when they do.
Okay, here's the fun, one of the fun ones. Now, moving on to the government shutdown and debt debacle. Man, there is a bunch to go around here, comedy and otherwise. I mean, if it wasn't happening to us, okay? Let's start off with some opinions, mostly not mine. I'll throw some of mine in here. Congress has partially wriggled free from the Obamacare health reforms that it passed and subjected itself to 3 years ago. In other words, double standard. They don't have to do what we have to do. I mean, it's so good, they don't need it. Exclusive. Rand Paul wants Chief Justice Roberts and all federal workers to enroll in Obamacare. Yes, those who gave it to us, this wonderful program, why don't they enroll in it? And why don't they get all the benefits? Come on, you guys deserve it. Okay, Ryan. I don't usually like too much, not because, I like fiscal responsibility, but, let's do it by, hurting the people instead of defunding the military-industrial complex. That's the problem I have with him. But in this case, he is right. Ryan, we demanded individual mandate delay on Obamacare. This is in Breitbart, and I think it is 10/14/2013. So they demanded a one-year delay in Obamacare's individual mandate, and along with an end to congressional exemptions while offering a six-week debt ceiling deal. Hey, fair enough. Come on. I mean, if the businesses can get a break, why can't the individuals, okay? For your even if you believe in the thing, obviously it's got genuine problems now. So, let's give it a break. I mean, if the businesses get a year off their mandate, how about the people? How about the Congress? Isn't it, only fair that they do what we have to do, okay? So, Democrats to America. This is from AnnCoulter.com. Another one I don't usually like too much, but every so often all of us, okay, nail something. So, here's a couple points, and this is AnnCoulter.com, column 100913. Just a couple hits here. Obamacare is turning America into a part-time nation, according to a recent report by The Economist. 97% of all jobs added by the economy so far this year have been part-time jobs. 97%! Hey, just like Hawaii, you can work 3 jobs, kill yourself, and get no health care, all because of this wonderful law. Thanks, guys. And Obamacare is such a disaster that people who wrote it refuse to live under it themselves. That's right. Congress won a waiver from Obamacare. Oh, isn't that just peachy? Okay, finally, the Republicans voted to fully fund the government, but added a requirement that everyone live under Obamacare. No more special waivers for Congress and their staff, and no waivers for big business without the same waivers for individuals. Obama refused to negotiate, and Senate Democrats refused to pass it. Hey, what's wrong with that, honestly? That sounds very reasonable. That's very reasonable, okay? The left thinks the government is their car and the people's representatives are obstreperous teenagers trying to borrow the government which belongs to the government. That's not how the Constitution views the House of Representatives. To the contrary, the House is considered most reflective of the people's will because its members are elected every 2 years. And yes, they are the ones most responsive. The Senate and the President, big bucks, big mass. They don't respond unless you got super big bucks. The only hope we have is our representatives. They're the ones closest to us. Okay, this is from NPR.org, dated October 9th. NPR, hardly a bastion of conservative thought. And by the way, again, I am not conservative. I am neutral in this. I'm an independent. I do not like Republicans. I do not like Democrats in general. I think they're both the party, not the people, but the actual party. I think they're both out for only their power, and they are screwing the people. Anyways, okay, some findings. No heroes in Showdown. GOP gets most of the blame. Well, that's, obvious because they're incompetent on how they communicate, and the media is against them. 52% said Obama is not doing well enough to cooperate with Republicans in the shutdown. 63% say Republicans aren't doing enough to cooperate with them. Here's the key one, and this is amazingly good. Yet only 30% say they support raising the limit. 46% were neutral on the question. This is the debt limit. Thank you, people. You're waking up because it is our future. There's going to be hell to pay at some time no matter what. The longer you put it off, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. This is the reality of it. Government wants you to play a role in the shutdown of the federal government. Your role is to panic. Republicans and Democrats both assume that shutting some government is a terrible thing. The press concurs. Shutdown threatens fragile economy, warns political. Federal workers turn to prayer, laments the Washington Post. If the public starts noticing that the life goes on as usual without 3.4 million federal workers, we might get dangerous ideas, like doing without so much government. Politicians don't want that. They'd rather have us worry about how America will cope. President Obama gave a speech where he actually said we need to have government open for the sake of people like the person working for the Department of Agriculture out there, helping some farmers make sure that they're making some modest profit. Aha! Guess what? They're making more problems than they solve usually. Ask the guys, okay? Not all of them. And again, there's wonderful people in government, some of them who really are, I'm not against government in general, but obviously when you have a bully government that's not for the people, a top-down, a monarchical or tyrannical rule, not good. Thomas Sowell in townhall.com, this is something emailed to me, goes on to, this is about who shut down the government. Let's just take a couple quick snippets out of this. Basically, it says the Republican-controlled House of Representatives voted all the money required to keep all the government activities going except for Obamacare. This is not a matter of opinion. You can check the congressional record. And it is the House of Representatives' right to grant or withhold money. It's not a matter of opinion either. You can check the Constitution of the United States, and this is true, that all spending bills must originate in the House of Representatives, which means that congressmen there have the right to decide whether or not they want to spend money on a particular government activity. That is correct. And thank you for doing the job there and trying to slow some of this stuff down a little. Whether Obamacare is good, bad, or indifferent is a matter of opinion, but it is a matter of fact that members of the House of Representatives have a right to make spending decisions based on their opinion. Okay, blah, 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 blah. The whole point of having a division of powers within the federal government is that each branch can decide independently what it wants to do or not do. The hundreds of thousands of government workers who have been laid off are not idle because of the House of Representatives did not vote enough money to pay their salaries or other expenses of their agencies unless they are an agency that would administer Obamacare. This is a fact, okay? And again, I was neutral on this shutdown at the beginning because I am no fan of either, but I am seeing more and more, and you'll see in the next little bit as we get into that there is a vast problem here, especially coming from one side, even though they're both very bad. Okay, just something from my hero, George Washington. Government is not reason. It is not eloquence. It is force. And force, like fire, is a dangerous servant and a fearful master. This is true. Sarah Palin crushes Obama, says defaulting on debt is impeachable offense per Constitution. This is on the Daily Poll, dated 10/14. Yes, by the way, please don't worry. It's going to be if one way or the other, the debt will be taken care of, because if they default, this will be the end of this superpower, which it still is, even though fragile, and they're not going to default for a lot of reasons. Most importantly, it would cause them to have power loss, and they're never going to do that. They're going to do, they're going to keep raising the debt and keep spending away instead of making the cuts necessary or slowing down the rate of expenditures at least. Okay, there's a lot of thought that the Republicans are about to cave 100% and worse, okay? They will agree to no changes in Obamacare. They will agree to increase the debt ceiling, and they will agree to end the budget sequester, the only real government cuts coming along in a long time. And divided government requires bipartisan negotiation. The nature of it is, honestly and objectively, taking no sides here, either one can end this. It is a negotiation. Sorry, no branch has absolute power, or certainly should not, and is not given per the Constitution. That's my take on it. Well, I can see I've been blabbing away here and having a great old time, I must say. But I got to move along quickly now. But we're going to get into a little bit of how this is, I would say, how the Democrats lost me on this one, and how I've really come to disrespect them. You know, abusing innocent people and those totally out of the circuit here is not appropriate. And what they've done, okay, who was right and wrong on this? Okay, let's argue it out. That's totally debatable, depending upon your political point of view. But harming the people whom you're supposed to be serving, that is not cool, and that is not acceptable. So they've been closing down the parks. They've been trying to make the pain felt, okay? I don't think, I'm not a fan of either of the Bushes, but I don't think they would be doing stuff like this. This is ridiculous. Park ranger admits being told to make life as difficult for people as possible. If you haven't been following it, I'm not going to go into it because we're running short, but signs say National Mall closed, but immigration reform rally is a go, okay? Gestapo tactics meet senior citizens at Yellowstone. Basically, anybody who was in the park happened to be basically, let's face it, people plan vacations months in advance, and they don't think the government's going to be closing down and trying to subject them to manipulation for their political purposes. They have a life. In fact, we thought, or some of us think, the government's supposed to be there to serve us, okay? Well, this is not the case. If you happen to have anything to do with the national parks, which Obama and the Democrats wanted to make a little PowerPoint to let us know how needed the government is, they were shutting them down. And where they're shutting down things that don't need to be shut down, open places where there's no need to have anybody there, they're shutting them down. Yellowstone, they're basically escorting them out at gunpoint. They're not letting them go to the bathroom. You can see this on NewburyportNews.com, Gestapo tactics, or the Washington Post. Just look at what's happening in Yellowstone. Defying government shutdown. National park visitors play Catch Me If You Can. This is on the Christian Science Monitor. Feds try to close the ocean because of the shutdown. Until government funding is restored, the fishing boats are prohibited from taking anglers into a 1,100 square miles of open ocean. Fishing is also prohibited at Biscayne National Park during the shutdown. This is just great, okay? Let's shut down the ocean because Uncle Obama wants us to. Grand Canyon cites people for entering the closed park. Okay, this is October 8th, and this is Las Vegas CBS Local. Okay, well, maybe a closed park, maybe, but, if they're not doing anything, Alaska slams Fed for keeping hunters off land. Lawmakers accused U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service of violating federal law by shutting down hunting on its lands during the government shutdown, saying a 1980 law guarantees state residents must have access to the law, but they don't care about that. I mean, the law is up for them to make. Runner fined $100 for running in Valley Forge National Park during the shutdown. That nasty person running along there without permission. Bad boy. Folks in the Great Smoky Mountains reaching a breaking point. The National Park Service also closed the Foothills Parkway, a major thoroughfare in the county. The closure came without warning and left the local school district scrambling to get children back to their homes. Hey, very nice. Let's let the kids just stay in the school forever. They can be stuck. They don't need their parents, huh? No need them, brother. No need eat. No need nothing, yeah? Lake Mead property owners forced out into the shutdown ends. Las Vegas, KTNV.com. The government shutdown is being felt close to home for some locals. They say they're being forced out of private homes on Lake Mead because they sit on federal land. Joy Spencer is 77-year-old and her husband is 80. They've been spending most of their time in the Valley Family Ice Cream Store since going home isn't an option. Very nice. Kick people off their property, their home. Old people, very, very good. Priest risk arrest for offering sacraments to Catholic troops during shutdown. This is CNSnews.com. Geez, dare pray, unless Obama says it's okay. Oof, no. Justice Department caught an Amber Alert takedown hoax. Now, the Justice Department, the Amber Alert website has been restored, after internet users pointed out that the website and system was never really down. It was just made to appear that way by the Department of Justice, possibly a publicity stunt. There we go. Kidnapped children, immaterial. We need our way. We're the government. We tell you what we want, and if you don't, we're going to make you pay. Veterans remove barricades from memorials and bring them to the White House. Some of them are standing up, okay? They're not going to take it. These are people who fought, put their lives on the line for the country, and they don't need this communist BS tyranny here. Crowd storms World War II thing. Now here's a shot I'll try to show it to you. The land of the free and the home of the brave. Maybe you can see these guys being busted. These were vets that went to the memorial when they shouldn't have. Oh, they're going to arrest them and put them in. These are old World War II vets, sitting in the back of a police car because they happened probably to have their savings. They were in Washington. They want to go see the memorial, see their buddies, pay respect to the people who died, and that's a no-no. Okay, Senator Mike Lee and the Daily Paul goes into this is public land versus government land. Remember that, people. Public, not government, okay? One-man militia cleaning up National Mall for vets with Park Service furloughed. Here's a man trying to take it upon himself in the Washington CBS local dated October 9th to help and clean while people were down. Authorities tell memorial mower, get lost. You no can do, brother. You not authorized. Okay. Feds to furloughed employees checking government email during shutdown, a criminal offense. You know, there are other companies and other things working who are related to the government, and they probably have a real need for some of these service. Somebody, if they want to do something on their own time, you know, something very important, God only knows what. I mean, some work is definitely important. They cannot do. No. Okay? Come on, man. This is unbelievable. Okay, and I don't care what administration or what political stripes. This is unacceptable, un-American, and pure BS. And if any of us take this and think this is right for whatever reason, I got to tell you, please think again, because that is not kind, it is not good, and it is certainly not aloha. Okay, so trying to run through our next to last segment really quickly. We're just going to give headlines mostly. Corporation for Public Broadcasting got $445 million on first day of government slimdown, calls funding indispensable. Shutdown day 7. Government buys $47,174 mechanical bull. Yes, we need those mechanical bulls. I mean, come on, where the hell do they? How can you justify a mechanical bull for $48,000, man? Anywhere. Come on, that's ridiculous. Obama wants you. Feds hiring for thousands of open jobs in mid-shutdown. Pentagon withholding death benefits for fallen soldiers' families. Real good way to go, guys. The guys who pay the ultimate sacrifice, trust in the country, and you treat them like freaking dirt, but you can buy your mechanical bulls. Okay? House members forced to reuse gym towels. Oh, the horror. Okay? So that's some of our wasted money. Now, finishing up, a poll. Good news. In U.S., perceived need for third party reaches new high. Can you see why? Can you see why? This is according to Gallup.com, dated October 11th of 2013. And now, amid the government shutdown, 60% of Americans say the Democratic and Republican parties do such a poor job of representing the American people that a third major party is needed. This is the highest Gallup has measured in the 10-year history of the question. Yes, it is. Think libertarian, think green, I personally am an independent. I am mostly with the Libertarian Party because it's the closest thing out there now and the closest thing to real competition. I don't buy everything they do. I don't like everything they do, but at least it's real competition, and I think they're much more honest and much more on track. Remember, government jobs are not good. Two private sector jobs are there for every one government job, and this is not against the government people. Okay? If things were run better, we could have plenty of both. I mean, the whole thing is to raise the economy for everybody, and then we could have a fairly substantial government, but it can't be a choke point and a control point to squeeze the people for the oligarchs and the super wealthy. Okay, Libertarian Governor candidate Sarvis polling at 12.7%. This is a man running in Virginia. And he's going to throw the race, okay, against Cuccinelli probably, and give it to a less deserving person. But hey, you know, this is real. We're starting to make points where we're actually swinging races. This is good. This is good. We're going to get in there. We're going to get more debate time. We're going to get more funding. This is what's needed. If you have a decent person that's a third party, please vote for them. Even a lot of the decent people who are in the other parties are going to end up being buckled by the machine. So you got to keep that in mind. Vote third party if at all possible. If there's a decent person, you should really at least consider them. Mainstream baffled as French turn to the far right. And France, a nutcase, as they say, or they imply, third party, very conservative third party is starting to win. Why is that? Because like here, they have two corrupt parties not serving the people. French far right sweeps to victory in local election. Now, I don't have much time to say on this, but I can tell you that there is some major news that will be coming in the next debate cycle for the presidential elections. The debates are the key problems. One of the key problems, besides ballot access, you can see our video and show on how the Republicans rigged the system, basically to keep the honest third-party people out. And please check that out sometime. And now, aloha very much. Thank you for listening. Send us your comments if you wish. Counter my views. If I'm wrong, certainly let me know. We'll air your video if you want to send it in, or we'll bring you on studio sometime if you wish. We're open. This is a community public forum for you, the people, for us all to learn, to share, and do better. Aloha. God bless. Thanks again. make a great one, and we will survive these morons one way or the other, and we will do better. And we will be bringing programming soon, focusing on solutions and what we can actually do to get through all these things and basically bypass the government as much as possible. Aloha. Hawaii Political Reporter is not owned, influenced, or an agent of corporate, government, or special interest. We are a local, honest, independent source of political news and commentary. Our primary goals are to promote awareness of the non-aggression principle and to reduce violence, war, and death. To promote economic liberty, prosperity, and true civil rights as in the U.S. Constitution. To promote transparency and to bring awareness of corruption in government and the collusion at all levels with big-moneyed individuals and special interests to deprive the people of true choice of government. Government that is truly by and for the people, for prosperity and freedom.
You try a hide and destroy a freedom man. You seek agenda, we know you anti-American. You come forward American Constitution. 1913, corrupt in the system. Devalue dollar, hyperinflation. The Federal Reserve, controlled by Lisa Farm. He can see you lying.